So in the last free talk, the subject of sugar addiction came up. And it doesn't have to be a sugar addiction for this information that I'm going to talk about, for it to be relatable or for it to be usable. This is related to any challenging habit that we have in our lives that we find really hard to eliminate, that we wish we could get rid of, but we find really hard to. And we think, oh, I just can't do it, it's too hard. And just to give you a little bit of background. So my journey with food has gone from anorexia in my teens to orthorexia and to a sugar addiction. And I used to buy a whole cake and I would scoff the whole thing down. I would eat my emotions. And then I get the sugar high, then a sugar low, which would be accompanied by an emotional low and an energy crash. And then I get the guilt, the self-loathing, and of course that just made me want to eat more of it, to try and get out of that place, to just avoid the feeling, and to try and stay in that high place all of the time. But the reality is there's always a crash at some point. And it was building a really negative perception of myself. And what it was, because I tried to give up sugar for 5 years. So whether you're trying to give up smoking, trying to start an exercise regime, trying to get rid of a detrimental habit, what gets between us making it a reality and just thinking about it is that the reasons that we have to make those changes aren't profound enough. Now I'm going to be talking in a lot more depth about this in our next free session, but I just want to touch on the subject. When we want to create a big change in our lives, in those moments when we're tired, we're emotional, and we just want to give up, if we don't have a profound enough reason to continue, that's when we'll just let it slide. And for a reason to be profound enough, it has to be connected to a deep enough emotion, to be moving away from pain and towards love. Let me give you an example. If, like me, you're trying to give up a sugar addiction, knowing the really detrimental effects that it's having, using that knowledge to get a deeper understanding of the short and long-term impact it will have on not just your life, but other lives, and then finding a reason to make that change happen. Let's say you have children, and you're finding giving up sugar is really hard. They are learning from you that eating sugar and having a bad relationship with food is okay. And they will carry that into their adulthood. And not only that, once we realize the fact that it's killing us, again, I'll get into more details of this in the talk. And I know that you might be thinking, I really don't want to know. If you're trying to give it up, you need to know this stuff. You need to know how it is causing inflammation in your brain, how you could be on the road to type 2 diabetes. Because if you have kids and you want to be there, and you want to be in good health when they're older and when your grandchildren are born, this is something you need to take into account now, before it's, before you go to the doctor and you get that bad news. So it's connecting with a reason. What is your reason that is profound enough? If you want to walk your daughter down the aisle, if you want to be around when your grandkids are born, that you want to get to the last years of your life and actually be one of those jolly old people, rather than going around in a wheelchair. I mean, my grandma, she had type 2 diabetes, and I got to see the profound impact that had on her well-being. And sometimes we need to go there. We need to see what that reality is, so that our reasons for making those changes, it's not just about how you feel right now or how you feel tomorrow. Think about 5 years' time and 10 years' time. Make it profound enough. Okay, I look forward to seeing you in the talk. Thank you for listening.